Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Joe Lubin, co-founder of Ethereum and founder of ConsenSys, and Kavita Prakash Mani, Global Conservation Director at the World Wildlife Fund.
Kavita, how are you?
Good, thank you. Nice to be here. Hi, everyone.
So as lead conservationist at one of the world's largest environmental organizations, what sort of barriers are you seeing? How do you feel that we can drive change, innovation at scale?
Thanks, Joe. Let me start by saying that, of course, at WWF and as the environmental conservation agenda, this is a big, exciting week. We're here at the Climate Summit. The UN is here. Many reports have come out, but all are pointing to the big gap that we have in solutions. We've had many years of commitments being made, but we're still seeing, forests are burning in the Amazon, in the Congo, in Sumatra, even Siberia. Species are dying. We've had 60% loss of species in 50 years. Another million are, predicted to be, we wipe them out with how our own systems of production and consumption are going. And we're also seeing a lot of climate action and climate impact, whether it's hurricanes or droughts and things. So it's really at that tipping point right now, where if we don't act, and if we don't take really concrete solutions, we will not be able to conserve our environment. And of course, humanity depends on that environment. So if we have to get to the Sustainable Development Goals, which is what we're all bought into, we see that there's a gap of about $2.5 trillion in investment into the solutions to get to those goals. So we have a big gap and a big job to do, and we need all the kind of innovation, new thinking, new ideas, rather than all the traditional ways of working that we have done, being really on the ground working with these communities.
So is that the gap? Is it the money that's the gap? Or
it's the money.
Are there other mechanisms
that
we need in place?
And thank you for asking the question, because I think the money exists, but it's harnessing that money, but also harnessing the ideas. So I think where we're finding the gap is that there's a number of ideas that are coming up from the bottom up, whether it's individuals or it's millennials or it's organizations or even like organizations like ours. And we know the money exists, but how do we match that? And that's where we need to work with people like yourself.
So there was some mechanism, a platform even.
Turn it back to you to tell us what technology can actually do to help us in this space.
Well, we work in a field called blockchain, so we should probably start there. Blockchain, at its simplest, is a next generation database technology. And the impacts of this next generation technology are potentially profound. We have built technology upon which the Ethereum platform, the Bitcoin platform, and many other platforms are predicated. And essentially this technology represents a revolution in what we call the trust infrastructure of the planet. And so we can build blockchain systems for a small set of actors, and they benefit from increased trust levels in collaboration. Or we can build blockchain systems that are maximally decentralized, that can operate on global scale. And if you build these systems so that they're maximally decentralized, you have replicated systems run by thousands and thousands of people, independent people. You can build an infrastructure that can move the world from what we call subjective trust foundations, where we depend on individuals or centralized organizations, to automated and objective trust. And so that's the principle that we're all excited about, building a new trust foundation for the planet, building a settlement layer for different kinds of instruments on the planet. And once you have a trust foundation in place, then you can do some really interesting things. You can create digital scarcity. So that's where you get cryptocurrencies from. That's where you get different kinds of financial instruments that are guaranteed to be digitally scarce. That's where you get tokens that can represent real estate or other kinds of goods. And even more exciting, once you have systems that can embody rules by which groups want to cooperate, you can have trustful collaboration. So collaboration at unprecedented scales with unprecedented ease. And so we look forward to, as the technology gets built out, we look forward to a world in which the competition characteristic is maybe shrinks or is maybe even dwarfed by the collaboration characteristic of how we work together.
Which is amazing, because I think collaboration for us and the ability of these technologies to bring the different players together is very powerful. And I think everyone must be wondering about how do we actually use,
Yes,
as WWF,
We've been collaborating.
what you might be doing. And we've been collaborating on that. And just to build off of that, where we see one of the biggest gaps that we have right now is linking specifically value chains. So if you look at it from a conservation or a development perspective, we have all of these producers around the world that might be producing our coffee or our cocoa or even palm oil or other commodities that we use, or fish, which is a big one.
Sustainable tuna.
But do we know they're sustainable? How do we know that they were produced in a manner that didn't cut down the rainforest or didn't have conversion or paid fair wages or were human rights? And I think we find a lot of benefit from having blockchain kind of technologies to help capture that data and keep it integral to the end, so that we all as consumers can actually trace it back and be confident about what we are buying and that we are protecting the environment and contributing to the SDGs. But we also see a lot of,
Should we drill down on that project briefly? So that's a project that involves a supply chain and tracking the provenance of food, in this case, sustainable tuna. The beauty of blockchain is that once you get data in the system, it remains trustworthy along the entire value chain, with many different actors with different agendas, all being part of the same IT infrastructure, essentially. And so we collaborated on building a system that tracks how fish are caught, that tracks how fish are landed, and tracks the paperwork. In later iterations of the system, it can track the temperature at which it is transported in trucks and transported in airplanes. And we built an app, a mobile application that enables people to very soon essentially scan the label of tuna on the store shelf or in the case, and determine exactly where it was caught, that it was caught by a sustainable certified fisher person, and the conditions under which it.
And you have this wonderful map that you can trace about exactly where it went, so exactly where the fish was and where the ship was. But we're now collaborating on bigger things than that as well, and going back to the original thing of saying we're seeing this big gap in the ability to match some of the ideas that are coming up in terms of the innovation with the funding. Yep. And it's been done very often, and of course we find that impact investing and everyone does it, but it's not really built on these kind of technologies that we might have. So again, we have a number of innovators that come to us with ideas such as can we use energy off the grid, where we're sharing it between homes and cities? Can we use renewable sources for, say, production of food or baskets or roads and everything else? And they sometimes need very little sums of money and sometimes need a lot, and they need a lot of help. Yeah. So we're excited to be working with you on this new idea, and it'd be great if you could talk us through Impactio.
Yeah, so in our early discussions a little more than 2 years ago, it was clear that the WWF wanted to move from overseeing charitable giving to also adding impact investing. There is a lot of money out there. There are a lot of needs out there. This project specifically focuses on the SDGs. And we have been pioneering on the blockchain platform. We've been pioneering decentralized governance, and we've been pioneering mechanisms for essentially curating things that people care about. And so this sort of platform enables us to bring subject matter experts into collaboration with entities that have assets that they want to deploy on certain projects, and many entities that have worthy projects. These projects essentially need to be scrutinized. They need to be prepared by some of the subject matter experts, and they need to be prioritized. And so we built something that's a little technical. It's called a token curated registry that enables these experts to not only stake some part of either value or part of their reputation in the form of a token, but also get behind these projects and shape them so that they are really worthy for investment and understandable by the people who are interested in investing.
So if we get the ideas of these brilliant new innovations,
exactly,
then you will find experts who will then review them, but also put their money where their mouth is and put tokens
yes,
to back it.
absolutely.
So that when you actually finalize it, you have something that has been tested. So it's not just my friends going and voting for their favorite or my favorite project online.
Yeah, in some cases, they're putting their money or their reputation where their mouth is. In other cases, for impact investing, you can actually earn some sweat equity so you stake your token, and if this project is selected and funded, then maybe you get a small slice of the equity as well. And so the beauty of a platform like this is it has transparent governance, so everybody knows who is configuring this project and why. The rules by which it operates are also transparent. The tokenization enables us to do really interesting things like staking, but also tracking source of funds and tracking usage of funds, which is incredibly important from some of our early
So the
discussions.
transparency of where money goes and how it impacts.
Exactly,
and can we also
exactly how
track,
it's used can be tracked.
And can we track impact as well? Can we then measure what the outcomes of these investments would be?
Sounds like a next phase to the project. Actually. Should we workshop
Because I
that
think we
here?
all want to know that, right? We want to know, fine, the money went there, but did it actually have the impact? And that might be something that we can build on together, so we can see how the SDGs
Should we do that
actually
in the New York office or
Sure.
in the Sydney office?
Well, there you go. That's the new partnership that's just getting defined here. I think we should do it here.
That'd be great.
So we can work on it together. But I think what is also, what I would love for us to think about, and it's be great to hear from, if we had a chance to have heard from the audience, is to saying what are the bigger solutions that we can create that might use some of these technologies? Because right now, what we can do is have smaller ideas, but they need to be built up and they need to be scaled up.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost seeing that platform as something that people can come to, and you can, we invite you all to definitely sign up and be part of that community, because you're the experts. You can bring in the kind of ideas, but also help sharpen these and make them stronger so they have the impact that we want, whether it's energy systems or fisheries or sustainable infrastructure or sustainable food, sustainable diets, getting to consumers. So we need you to be part of that community, but we also need those scaled up. So maybe that will trigger a broader widening and a scaling up of some of these efforts that we have there.
Absolutely. So we've run 2 pilots. One was an internal pilot and the other was external. I think we had over 50 subject matter experts, 34 projects, of which 17 of them were curated and essentially one representation on the platform. These projects range from kelp-based packaging for foodstuffs to sharing of photovoltaics so that both tenants and landlords can share electricity, to bounties that enabled reduction in ocean plastic and taking ocean plastic and making things like baskets and chairs, et cetera. So these are, they're cool projects. Each of them map to about 3 or 4 SDGs, and the first pilot, or the real pilot, was very successful, and we're hoping to do something bigger.
And it's up and running, and we're inviting people to put in their ideas and help us curate this and make these stronger and get some investment to deliver the SDGs.
Sounds great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.